Hello, everyone. My name is William Brooks from Aichi University in Nagoya, Japan. Originally, this presentation was supposed to be a workshop done live in Korea, but unfortunately, myself and another colleague were not able to go to Korea this time due to things that came up at our universities. And so I hope that you'll still find some very helpful hints and ideas for your classes with this TBL PBL presentation. So without further ado, I'd like to begin today. And I'd like to start off, I've got to set my timing here for you. And I'd like to start off with beginning some ideas here. So the first thing we'll discuss is what is task-based learning TBL? And I don't think I'm going to spend a lot of time with this because I think most of you already know, but it's just basically an approach to language learning where students are given interactive tasks to complete, usually one lesson or assignment in one particular class. It focuses on real-world scenarios instead of just one-way lecture grammar tests and a professor lecturing to everybody, as you all know. And of course, the nice thing about it is it focuses on the 4 C's, which is communication, collaboration, creativity, and critical thinking, and involving short interactive assignments that result in a finished product. To give you an idea of the pre-task cycle, you divide the class into groups, introduce, explain a task, confirm the comprehension, begin preparation. The task is usually, they divide up their roles and start brainstorming about a particular subject or topic, that the instructor has presented to them. The groups start planning, and it could be, a writing exercise or a reading exercise to begin with. And then they discuss the ideas, come up with a consensus, prepare the results, present on the results, and then after it is finished, they do analysis where they examine and discuss various features of each other's results and then sort of reflect on what they talked about, including feedback from the instructor as well. Project-based learning is a slightly different way of doing the same kind of thing. It's just a little bit longer, so it shares the same aspects of TBL, but is a little more ambitious in the sense that it may last a couple weeks, could be an entire term or an academic term. Normally, I do it no more than 2 to 3 weeks, just because I like to do various tasks throughout the semester. And by the way, today I'll be discussing more of the TBL PBL exercises for business classes, business English classes, but also highlight some things for writing and conversation classes as well. Elsewhere, PBL tasks are designed to engage students in, again, solving real world problems that are personally meaningful projects and developing and constructing hands-on solutions to each problem. This is sort of a simple diagram of how the PBL learning aspect goes. You basically give them a task, they brainstorm, they self-direct learning amongst themselves, assimilate their data, apply the information, come up with a presentation, the results, and then present on those results. So that's real basic PBL process. So why do we use PBL and TBL? What's the point? What are the advantages of it? Well, first of all, unlike traditional teaching, it usually involves passive learning through lectures and memorization. These two forms shift the emphasis to active learning, which is very important. And of course, critical thinking, problem solving, and collaboration. TBL focusing again on short-term results and usually done in one class, whereas PBL focuses more on the long-term projects and could take anywhere from 2 to 3 weeks, or like I said, a whole semester if it has to. So without further ado, I'd like to get into some business examples or using TBL PBL in business classes. So some of the key concepts about this would be to prepare the students for task projects they need to do, for example, sales presentations, planning, launching new projects or new products, focus on successful outcome of the task, not on the correction of grammar, vocabulary, or pronunciation. This is a key point that I think instructors should keep in mind. You're not trying to correct their grammar, vocabulary, or pronunciation, but rather encourage them to use their already established EFL and ESL skills. Okay, so just let them run with it. Give them a project, let them run with it, come up with the results. Even if they make mistakes as they're going along the way, you can save that until afterwards to correct them or give them tippers or points and things like that. But in the meantime, do not try to stay uh, as uninvolved as possible, but observe in the process. Elsewhere, they recycle, consolidate language expressions, provide student instructor feedback, peer review, and when designing tasks, try to make them multifaceted. So, in other words, a variety of different roles: salesperson, customer, interviewer, interviewee, that sort of thing. Example of TBL PBL for business classes. You could do, for example, a simulation of a job interview. That would be TBL. Business networking, conference, parties, customer service, troubleshooting, telephone role play, which can be done with high school to university students. I mean, it's always a fun thing for all levels to do. Again, TBL usually. Case studies, setting up, for example, an overseas branch for a company, that would obviously be PBL. Surveys, questionnaires, carrying out research, PBL. And then presentation about a company, which could actually be both, but I usually make it into a PBL project of 2 or 3 weeks. Okay, so for example, simulation of a job interview. So you want to divide the students into pairs or groups, depending on how many students you have in the class, and then decide on the company that is what that they want. They can decide on their own company or what they want to research or talk about or discuss. One person acts as an H&R rep, the other as the interviewee, and have the partners change roles to experience the target language from both sides. So examples of some of the prompts that you can give for the H&R interviewers would be, for example, why did you choose our company? What unique skills do you think you bring to the company? What kind of position would you like? What do you hope to establish in 5 or 10 years, etc. For candidates, interviewees, some prompts could be like from your webpage, I notice your company is expanding in such and such area. What are your plans in the next 5, 10 years? And you're basically just, going over things that might come up in interviews. And of course, you can think up more examples than you can see listed here, or even have some of the students come up with their own. I usually have my students go for anywhere between 10 and 15 minutes per session. And then I'll have one of the students, if they're working in pairs, in this case, usually pairs, could be 3, and then have 1 or 2 change to another group and have them rotate around the room. So they're getting different styles of English from different abilities or levels. And then they can also come up with new ideas or new companies as well in the process. Business network and conference and a party. Provide flashcards of details of various business roles and company names, types of products, services, the basic information they need, who and what they're looking for, and then make sure each student has different details on the role cards, but there's that ideal match among the group that they have to find. So there really is kind of an egg hunt thing where they're looking for the right partner out there. This usually will take anywhere from 10 minutes sometimes if you have quite a few students until they can find the ideal partner. My business classes tend to be 40 to 50 students per semester at my university, IH University. So I'm making anywhere from 20 to 25 cards, with pairs for each, and then they go around the room. It usually takes 10 to 15 minutes. And then some examples would be then restaurant chain looking to expand domestically overseas, and he or she is looking for a food manufacturer, distributor supplying products to local overseas restaurants. Another one would be IT software programming company and looking for someone that could make IT software, and they're looking to provide services to these large MNCs. And so looking for the pairs that match up. That's a kind of a fun exercise. Here, an example of some of the cards. I'm not going to get into reading all these for you. Just have a look. You've got on the left side here, you've got the Italian restaurant, and then you have, and what they're looking for, and then Greco and Sons, who are a food importer, distributor, manufacturer, etc. So, those different pairs. The cards below are for IT, and then you've got the software provider for that. So I usually make up my own companies and cards, and depending on how many students I have in class. But they really enjoy this exercise very much, and I highly recommend it, especially for business and slightly higher level English classes. Customer service, troubleshooting. This is very practical and something that they're certainly going to use in the future for their jobs. And I think it really warms them up pretty well that way. So divide the students into pairs or groups, prompt them with helpful phrases from both sides. For example, the complaint we received an order for X number of products the other day, but the quantity or the product number or the registration number, whatever, was wrong. And then the troubleshooting side or the company side says, I see Mr. or Ms. So-and-so. We're very sorry about this inconvenience, and we'll look into it immediately right away and get back to you as soon as possible. Have them brainstorm further complaints and ideas and act out both sides of the roles, and then have them change and switch groups. This I usually do quite a bit all the way around the class. So they're probably changing 3 to 4 times per lesson. And it goes pretty fast, actually. But usually you want to try to have them go anywhere between 5 and 10 minutes per session. Telephone role play. Again, this is, I think any level can do this. Have the students break into pairs and get them to prepare small conversations or dialogues. For example, scheduling a meeting, place order complaint about a product or service, ask about new products or services, scheduling business trip, etc. Again, give them prompts on the whiteboard, or you could pass out, well, oftentimes it's in textbooks. So if you have a business textbook like Business Venture 2 or something along those lines, they would have some pretty good exercises in them that you could use for this sort of exercise. And then you go through all of that with them, and they practice, and then they break up in their groups and do this. And again, now the key point to this, though, is having the students sit back to back. This is a must, and it's very, very important. And I think anyone that's done this will understand very clearly that you don't want them seeing each other's expressions. You don't want them seeing each other's gestures. They have to rely on the vocabulary and the tones of the voices and things of each other to solve the issues or provide the information, etc. So it's a lot of fun, and they really get into it. And I would recommend this at any, high school, university, even junior high school, if some of those teachers are present at today's conference. This is getting a little more of the meat, if I would say, of the TBL PBL project. This is actually this is actually TBL as well. It is the Bedrock expansion project, and it is a really fun exercise that I found any level can do. Again, high school students, university students, works both for them. What it is in a synopsis is there's a company that is trying to expand its operations. It's called Bedrock. Or sorry, the city is named Bedrock, sorry. And the company is named ABC, a company incorporated. They're looking to expand their IT operations. And in the meantime, Bedrock is soliciting to companies to start factories or a company in their city or town or the area around the city. And ABC is looking to expand. It's offering good wages to about 100 to 150 people and very good salary. They have, it says 40 million sales revenue that they have at this point. And so they're looking to expand on that more and reach out to different areas. So Bedrock would love to have a company like that, because it means that company is going to pay them taxes. And of course, also provide jobs for the local people. Meanwhile, there's one more group, which is the Citizens of Bedrock group, the CFB, and they're basically housewives and elderly people, some of them, or you have Girl Scout, Boy Scout instructors, and those kind of people that get together, and they're basically looking out for the citizens of Bedrock. So depending on the type of company that's trying to get into the city and the location, they're going to have a say in what happens. So you break up your students that way. You have 1 or 2 act as the Bedrock representative, 2 as the city representative, and 2 as the ABC company representative, 2 as the Bedrock city representative, government representative, and finally your citizens group people as well. And there's basically 3 locations in the city that can be expanded into. One is in the downtown area, which is not, it's a nice location, it's convenient, but there's little room to expand, and it's more expensive with rent. Another location is down by a river, which is just off of the downtown area, but there's no access to that river. However, if the government is willing to help the company pay for creating the road to lead to that, the infrastructure, then they can expand or use that area as well. And it might be helpful if the company wants to use the river for delivery purposes. However, you also have flooding issues that you have to take into consideration. And the third location is outside the city in an area that is actually where a junior high school and a high school is. So this is where the citizens group is a little bit going to be a little bit cautious because, or a little bit have a little bit of trepidation because they're worried about environmental issues, pollution, noise, that sort of thing, and potential harm on the students coming and going from school. So the students break up, they decide on which area is the best based on the information given to them, and they present their results to the class. So it's kind of fun, and it breaks them into this PBL exercise that they can expand on. So one expansion of that is a company expanding or planning on going overseas, and so or expanding domestically. So you provide a case study about anything, expanding your company overseas as a joint venture, for example, or as a franchise or an M&A, merger acquisition. And you need to consider three main things. One is the economic, financial, and country risk issues of the company you're trying to expand into. So for example, economic issues being, of course, exchange rates, well, the economic situation of the country, is it sound? Is it in heavy debt? How is the country doing? Financial would be, sorry, exchange rates and interest rates and those sort of things, rental issues. And then country risk would be like, for example, if it's a democratic capitalist country, you're going to have a lot better chance of expanding over there versus, say, a communist country or a country where you might have issues with, the not expanding as quickly, or the country maybe taking over your company if that happens. And so those will happen in sometimes monarchy-related countries or countries that do have restrictions on companies expanding in their area. So you have the students break into groups, 3 to 6, depending on the size, assign roles, prompt them on information provided, and in the remaining time in class, and then have them come back the following week, begin arbitrating about those issues, come up with a consensus, and whatever they feel is the best answer for or best method for it, based on all the information you give to them, financial, country, and economic. And then also, depending on what product you're trying to develop in that country, if it's something that you want to sell locally or make locally and then have it imported back to your country, whatever the case is, you need to consider those issues and then have them present on their results. And so this is a good, very excellent PBL for a lot of my university business students that really want to get into the deep aspects of expanding overseas. Survey questions, carrying out research. This is very good for seminar classes or even writing classes in many cases. You show students how to make questionnaires using single questions, multiple choice questions, short answer, short written answers. And of course, you can do a Likert scale. You can show them how to do Likert scale questions, questionnaires as well. Break the students into groups, have them brainstorm their topics, social issues, business project. It could be anything they want to do. And over the next week or two, have them carry out their surveys using Google Forms, Microsoft Forms, SurveyMonkey, whatever you want to use. And then the following class, they come back, they assimilate their data, construct their PowerPoint presentation, practice, and then by the third week, they're ready to give their presentation on them. But make sure that they include points like what surprised them, what shocked them, what enlightened them the most, and teach them phrases such as, the most of us thought that blah, 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 what we were shocked about this, or we were surprised about that. So that's a fun one as well. Presentation about a company. This is something I use in my business classes, of course, and it's a great exercise for researching companies and developing their business English skills. So here again, you break students up into groups, have them choose a company of their choice, allow them to brainstorm for the remainder of the class, who's going to do what, have them decide their roles. Then they research the background, the history of the products and or services of the company, where it's going to expand, the ups and downs, or where it has expanded, the ups and downs of the company. Then another person will talk about financial information, for example, the number of employees, overseas branches, sales, profits, etc. What areas they intend to expand into, or the company intends to expand into, or consolidate or downsize. And then finally, each group offers a consensus from the perspective of an outsourced consulting company. So they're trying to provide solutions or advice to the company as a outside consulting firm. And then assess the students. I usually judge them on their eye contact, gestures, visuals, pronunciation, vocabulary, intonation, and content in this particular PBL exercise. But when they're working on their project, like anything else, I don't interfere. I just let them discuss and present on their own, and then give them feedback in the end. And sometimes I'll also solicit feedback from other students. These are some surveys results that we got feedback from IT University students. I will not read the information above that's the respondent numbers and percentages, but below I just want to say that the majority of respondents not only found the TBL exercise enjoyable, but want to challenge them more instead of receiving routine note-taking lectures in the future. So they really want to do a lot more of these TBL PBL exercises. As far as do you think the overall case studies were useful and practical? The results tell us that they not only enjoy doing them, but find them very helpful in preparing them for their job hunting and future careers. So a lot of the feedback was positive, but 83% said they found them useful or very useful and want to continue doing this sort of thing. So I'm expanding this more and more in my business, especially advanced business English classes at IT University. Finally, we did some marketing and management exercises in the course. And what I do is this is a back-to-back project. So they create their own company, and then they're required to make their own business. So they're not research a company now, they're actually creating their own company. And they have to come up with a product or service line, target customers, future sales, profit speculations, and they give feedback in groups, etc. And then with that same company, they create their own marketing campaign. And so they include the style of advertisement, logo, media, how they're going to advertise it, newspaper, magazine, etc. And to promote their business. And then they give feedback in groups before presenting to the class. So I do give them that buffer where they can discuss in groups and sort of give each other advice about what is good or bad or how they think they should improve. And then they present it to the class. So this is, again, is probably an exercise like this would be roughly 2 to 3 weeks. This is a little bit separate from the other 3 slides I was going to say about responses, but we do have a lot of listening and pair work exercises from the textbook, and I wanted to get some feedback on what they thought about that. So it results inform us that the exercise that the DBL, mostly the TBL exercise they did in class, including scheduling appointments, offering products, troubleshooting, telephone conversations, were really enjoyable and helpful for them. So good feedback from them with some quantitative data. For writing classes, TBL writing classes, simple, basic topic, teamwork, informing of essays, social, political, economic, or cultural issues. You could write about a school project, for example, which would be planning an event, what booths they're going to have at their university event or high school event, when, where, why, how they're going to do it. Another idea would be write a mini grad thesis, okay, on a topic of their choice. So each member writes a section, for example, abstract intro, literature review, the different chapters, etc., and they submit and present it to the class at the end. So they submit their written report and they also present on it. Number 3, finally, write about a social or business topic. Students brainstorm ideas, break up roles, company expansion, product service explanation, the launch time, target customers, etc. So that's another fun writing exercise they can do in groups. More simple exercises that are Actually, I used to do this with some high school classes as well. In small groups of 3 or 4, have each person start a story and give them 5 to 10 minutes to write about it. When they finish, they rotate the story around the class, around the group, sorry, and the other members add in a portion, anything or any part they want, and it just builds on the story, and they compare it to the original and how it expanded or how it became different. So that's kind of fun. But the even funner one is the correlated exercise, I find, where you break students into groups and each member provides a short but detailed description of a person, place, or thing. They pass it around. Other members remove one of the parts. It has to be from the original, not what the other members are another part that another member of the group already removed. And they write their own story. They fill in their own episode of that and then pass it around, and the whole thing changes, but the original author keeps his original version, and then they compare each other's stories to what they were from the original. So that's kind of a fun thing they could do as well. Could be, stories could include a holiday trip, class project, time travel, solve a mystery story, that sort of thing. Other correlate exercises would be write about unforgettable experience in your life, the best or worst day of school you ever had, teaching someone to do something they're good at doing, writing about an embarrassing event that happened in your life, future dream, what the world will be like in 10, 50 to 100 years, and of course, traveling around the world in 80 days, for example. Essays could include description essay of a person, place, or thing, um, comparative contrast essay about a school or another with another. So your school with another school, or your university with another university, hometown, hobby, part-time jobs, etc. Cause effect about the effects of smoking, lack of sleep, or exercise. A process essay, how to make something, how to do something, play an instrument, drive a car, for example. Narrative about a first day of class or how to handle stress, fear, embarrassment, and encourage, again, peer review and feedback. Conversation classes, this now is expanding into a very, getting into sort of a whole different realm of interesting and fun things that students can do. They could read about a social, political, economic, or cultural issue, break into the students into groups, and then write keywords or phrases on the board for them to work with, and time the groups and members and add another topic. So some of the ideas may include creating presentations in pairs or groups on a political, economic, or culture issue, making a short video, acting on a skit, creating an original board or video game that includes writing the game rules, playing time, etc. Or one of my favorites, because I teach media in my seminar classes at my university, acting out a TV program. So I actually take my students to a local TV station. They get a tour of the station. Then they come back, this after learning about the basics of media, and they come back and then they actually act out their own TV program. So I'll explain that in just a minute. So for the TV program, includes news, weather, commercials, and guest hosts. And they break up into groups, have them choose roles of announcer, meteorologist, sports announcer, program host. Have them prepare at least a 30-second English news story, and the caster reads those. And then the newscaster will introduce the meteorologist, who then announces the weather forecast. Have the groups prepare a 15 to 30-second commercial before a live audience that is, and give them time to prepare. The program host comes on, and then special guests come in. So he or she is the host, and then you have these famous guests that come on their program. I usually evaluate them on how well they performed, but I also have the other groups judge them as well. And they'll judge them on how entertaining it was, how good their eye contact gestures were, of course, but also just the overall, parts of it as well. How good was the commercial? Was it funny? Was it entertaining, etc. So that's a lot of fun with them. And here's an example of what some of my students came up with. So this will give you just an idea of what they do. So you can see he's in these really bizarre places around the world doing the weather forecasts.
Thank you, Master. Next is Asams. Are you there?
So there he's now doing it from another very interesting place. Okay. So here's another commercial. They put an insert in this one, and it's kind of entertaining. It's basically based on an already commercial, a little bit older. So there you have an example of that sort of commercial. This one is using my former, I used to be a reporter for TV stations, so they used one of my videos. So you can get an idea of what that sort of thing is. This is another one that's a little bit older. It's not you still have zero news on in the evenings in Japan, but the opening has changed a little bit. So this one is also kind of an interesting one they did. This is of a Tandai girls class um, in Nagoya.
Next is gift weather. Today gift weather is rolling. So
Weather
please take
forecast.
umbrella. Take weather. Today means like France. The weather will change, so be careful. Next is weather. Temperature weather is clear and the temperature is 33, so please take a look. Look how many times because we get the heat injured. Wind, strong wind. Wait, next to that is weather. Today the weather is downpour, so I'm staying to go outside. Oh,
So you can see those are some interesting ideas they have for that. Okay. Another thing you can also do with TBL conversation classes would be a skit of a play or a movie. So you break them into groups again, have them brainstorm about whatever play or movie they want to do. It could be a Disney story, Grimm Brothers story, Hansel and Gretel, part of a movie. Have them choose their characters, break them up into groups again. They judge and give feedback on each other's performances. And in this case, I'd like to also give them awards at the end of the performance. So the best, and students all judge each other, or each group judges the other groups, and they come up with the winner. And I like to get presents and awards out for this because it is usually it could be about a month it takes them to prepare everything. It's a lot of practicing, a lot of role play. They have to memorize the lines, and so this could be a 3 to 4 week task easily. So it's a lot of fun. So, in summary, I just like to say the four main things you're covering here is communication, collaboration, creativity, and critical thinking. Again, developing communicative competence and language proficiency, meaningful, authentic tasks in mirror world contexts to develop important strategies for communication. Again, don't correct them too much on grammar, vocabulary, and pronunciation. Let them run with their EFL, ESL skills and encourage learners to become active participants in conversations and interactions, building their confidence and ability to use their English fluently. So thanks again for joining me today in this short presentation. Here are my contact details. I'd be happy to share any information I have with all of you. Thank you again and enjoy the rest of the conference. And I hope to see you next time in person in Korea. Thank you.